All right, welcome back to the channel, CryptoTrendtrader, and today we're going to be taking a look at the final installment of our multi-part video series on Fibonacci extensions, Fibonacci retracements, Elliott wave corrections, and also our more advanced expanded flat, which is currently taking place on Bitcoin. All of these things can be applied to any asset class that you choose, not only Bitcoin and cryptos, but also stocks, commodities, and essentially anything else that you can chart. Now, that being said, we're going to be looking today at time cycle analysis. In order to get a good understanding of what's taking place here, you're going to need to go back and be able to draw this chart for yourself. And like anything with technical analysis, the more you practice, the more effective and efficient you will be. And the ticker itself does not matter nearly as much as once you realize the reliability of this and that market makers, whales, bots, and algorithms are all using these same levels, will give you a massive advance, massive advantage on the markets. So now let's look at our macro here and see what's really taking place. So for this, we're going to switch over to our vertical line. And from, oh no, you know what? We're actually not going to switch to the vertical line. What we're going to do is, we're going to actually go over to our patterns. And then we're going to go all the way down here and we're going to put in our cyclical lines. So what we're looking for is to see where the macro highs are, where the macro lows are, and then potentially project out into the future where our highs and lows would be. Now, if you are familiar with Bitcoin, you will know that coded into Bitcoin's, code essentially is a 4-year time cycle. And every 4 years, almost exactly, because Bitcoin is algorithmically adjusts for mining, essentially what we're going to see is a 4-year cycle take place. There has been a lot of speculation over time that there would be no more 4-year cycles and that Bitcoin would go into something called, extended cycles. But obviously that has been proved not to be true, not only in advance by people like me, but also now by the market itself. So we're going to go ahead and put in our time cycle analysis tool right here. And that is going to be our top of the 1. And then we're just going to go out here and we're going to look at our top of the 3. And then I'm going to switch this to red. And that is telling us this is our tops. And we want to pay attention to that into the future. Okay, so that was our top of wave 1 and 4-year cycle. That was the top of our wave 2 and 4-year cycle. And now conveniently, if we actually go out here and look at this, look how beautifully it is. It actually put this line in place for us and perfectly predicted the exact top of Bitcoin's third, 4-year cycle. So now Bitcoin's entire life cycle has perfectly lined up with our peak from 1, our peak from 3, and then just by placing our second peak here at 3, it's going to automatically give us our target for the next peak. So as we move it to the target there, it has basically given us the perfect top for our 3 as well, or our 5 as well. So that being said, it is, slightly different. It's not always going to be perfect. It's not an exact science, but it's basically giving us that target. So this is our peaks, which lined up very well, and it tells us basically 4-year cycle completion, and then where's our low going to be? 4-year cycle completion, and where's our low going to be? 4-year cycle completion, and then where's our low going to be? So we're going to do the exact same thing once again. We're going to take our time cycle tool. We're going to pick the bottom right here, or our 2 of the macro 5-wave structure, and then we're going to draw that one to the 4, which is the bottom of our 3 of the macro 5-wave structure. We're going to go ahead and flip that one over to blue in this case, and then we're going to look at where would our potential bottom be for this next retracement. And here we can look at this, and it actually predicts that our bottom would be roughly July of 2022, which is not far off. Now, what we need to pay attention to, and if you watch the previous videos, you will know actually that maybe this is telling us the bottom is already in. Unfortunately, because we're now correcting this entire 5-wave structure, we could actually see an extended corrective phase. So what we would expect to happen during an extended corrective phase is we would actually expect where normally the bottom would be, we actually fail to break to a new all-time high and then go lower for the correction. And then eventually, once this correction takes place, we can then start to resume to the upside and see that continuation potentially higher. So that being said, we know that our tops are in red and our bottoms are in blue. So we don't know exactly where these are going to line up or how this is going to be predicted into the future, but we would assume somewhere around 2026 that would take place. So if we see a failed breakout to a new all-time high on this correction, because we're correcting the entire five-wave structure, and then we actually see our bottom taking place, just switch this over, roughly around April 2026. And again, we know that our time analysis is the least reliable, the most difficult, because many things can change, and we're also predicting not only targets but way out into the future. So at some point in time around, let's say roughly April 2026, and we see a new bottom, and we have gone through basically a top in 2021 and then a whole nother 4-year cycle without putting in a new all-time high. Again, people are going to assume Bitcoin is dead and that something has failed and things have changed. And then actually from that next point in time, what we do is we just look for our next 5-wave structure to play out, or the 3 on the macro, over another 3 periods. So the same way, looking back at our chart here, and I know it's very busy, if this was our first 4-year period and retracement, this is our second 4-year period and retracement, this is our third 4-year period, and then extended retracement, which takes up a whole another period without a new high, and then we just resume right where we left off, and we start looking for essentially once again a 4-year, initial 1, a retracement 2, a 3, a retracement 4, and then a 5, and that would actually be where our macro 3 would go in. So again, if we look at the red and we look at that as the peak of our next cycle, we would just move this 3 macro all the way out here into the future, and we would essentially expect that peak of the 3, which was that over 700, 800,000 target, to happen over another 12-year period after an extended 4-year correction, and that would give us roughly 2041, a target of 815,000. Now I know a lot of people are like, wait, 2041, that's way into the future. But also, based on the time cycle analysis, that's probably a realistic representation. And now that being said, we would then look for our 4 retracement, and we would assume that we have once again an entire cycle where we don't put in a new high, and then we go all the way out to our next cycle. And actually that's the furthest TradingView is going to let us go out into the future. So we're unable to actually chart this out further. But we know exactly what happened previously. If we assume that that is going to happen again, we would essentially be looking for, our first 12-year cycle and then a extended retracement. And then we would look at our next 12-wave cycle and then our extended retracement. So that would basically take us from a top of the macro 3 of the new 5-wave structure. That would be in roughly, 2038 or so. We know that our next retracement period would be a whole cycle without putting in a new all-time high. So that's going to be all the way to 42 and then to the next one. And then we would go out another roughly 12 years into the future. And that would give us our potential top for the 5. But now at this point in time, we are projecting out into the future, essentially 2 times Bitcoin's entire life cycle. So it's been around for 12 years, and we're predicting into the future almost 30 years. So the accuracy of those predictions obviously is going to be very low, not only in dollars, but also in time. But that is actually our macro correction of Bitcoin, the macro structure, and how I use not only time cycle analysis for the highs, for the lows. You can do it for the halving as well. We can use our internal and external Fibonacci retracements and extension targets using our fibs, as well as our Elliott waves and our advanced corrections, coupled all with the time cycle analysis to basically get a very in-depth, very forward-looking Bitcoin and crypto chart. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there. I know it gets a little bit crazy towards the end. The chart becomes very busy, but we have basically now a very detailed roadmap of where Bitcoin could potentially go through, with not only bullish targets that are much more bullish than anyone else I have ever seen, but also bearish targets that are much more bearish than anyone else I have ever seen, with the exception of those people that are always calling for crypto or Bitcoin to go to zero. So again, if you enjoyed today's video, if you got something out of it, please make sure to like and subscribe. I'm always happy to answer questions. If you're new to the channel and you're just finding it, not only do we put out static educational videos like this on various forms of technical analysis, but of course, we do live stream 3 days a week as well. And we live stream every single Sunday from 8 p.m. till roughly 10 or 11 p.m. We do also every single Wednesday from 8 p.m. till roughly 10 or 11 p.m. and this is all in Eastern Standard Time. And then finally on Fridays, we do a morning live stream from 11 a.m. Till roughly 1 or 2 p.m. again Eastern Standard Time. The live streams are absolutely free. I have no problem looking at technical analysis of any various assets we can chart on TradingView, answering questions and helping to share and educate the community. That being said, if you're interested in what you have learned in this series of videos and you want to take your education to the next level, you're ready to invest in yourself, we do have a private group that you can get access to for a small contribution to support my work and sort of give back as a thanks, not only for the static videos and the series of hundreds of other videos also, but not only that, but we actually have some custom indicators that I have coded that I have made available. So there's a bunch of indicators that are available for absolutely free to anyone that's interested in them, but also we have some special unique indicators that are available only to group members as sort of a thank you for those that have chosen to support my work and support the channel. And that being said, we'll just pop them up really quick here, and then we're going to wrap it up there. And here we see this is what's called the TJD Master. And the idea behind the Master is to essentially identify bullish trends. When it's green, we're in a bull trend. When we're red, it's a bear trend. When it's green, we're in a bull trend. Red, it's a correction or bear trend. And then green, we're in a bull trend. And you can see very clearly we're about to enter into a bear trend. And actually, if we just go down to a slightly shorter time frame, we can see the predictive principle of this indicator and why it is so important. We can see that essentially all we have to do is just follow these simple steps, and we see once we see the green and we're above the blue, we are in a bull trend. And from the initial entry when we flip blue to the peak when we actually flip over to red, we see roughly a 11,369% gain. So if you just entered here and you exited essentially around this area, you would be up 11,369%. From that point in time, you are sitting on the sidelines, and from the exit right here, we are in a bear trend, and you would see that you would avoid a 57% loss. And then again, we flip back into a bull trend once again, and from the entry of that bull trend until the exit of the bear trend, when we do flip bearish once again, we see a 3,668% move to the upside. And then again, we see our retracement take place. And again, we avoid a dirty, nasty dip to the downside, once again of over 52%. And then we re-enter at that point in time. And then finally, we see actually a false signal right here, but still very much tradable. So we see an initial push up, 92%. And then we actually get out just in time for that pre-Rona dump. And then actually avoid a 56% dump. And then we actually can get back in whenever we want along the way. But if we just stick to our same pattern here on the daily time frame, we re-enter right here around $7,800. We ride this up to 78,000, and then we actually exit when the trend flips bearish once again for another 523%. So for a total of, basically 3 entries and 3 exits along the way, we see thousands and thousands of percent gains. Obviously, crypto is very, very volatile, so we're not going to see the same percentage gains on something like the stock market. But again, it is very, very profitable, very simple strategy. And if you want to see more about how this strategy works, how this indicator works, I actually have a video explaining how this works. It is called, the TJD Master. You can find it in the indicator playlist under the channel videos. See how this works. And if you're interested in acquiring this indicator and joining the group, again, this is provided absolutely free to anyone that chooses to join the group and support my work. Also, not only will you get the TJD Master, but also I have quite a few other indicators as well. And if we just switch back over to a longer time frame and just kind of pay attention to what we see here, this is actually the Jewel Thief that we see right here. And essentially what the Jewel Thief does is it just provides simple entries. Once we're in the bearish control zone and we see a hard buy, we take an entry right here. And again, that leads us massive gains to the upside. And then once we leave the bearish control zone and we get the hard sell signal, we exit our position and dodge that big move to the downside. And then here again, we re-enter on the exit of the bullish control zone and the hard buy signal. And then again, we see massive gains to the upside. And then recently, once we saw the bullish control zone, we left the red highlighted area, we see the hard sell signal, and then actually we get out around 50,000 roughly, and dodge another move back down to 20,000, and then see continuation. And not only does this work on longer time frames like a monthly, we can use it on our weekly to benefit us. We can use it on a daily to benefit us, and we can actually go down as short a time frames for all these indicators as like a 4-hour, a 15-minute, any type of scalping. This actually works on as well. And again, another indicator, the Jewel Thief, there's an older version of it that I provide for absolutely free if you want to test that out and get an idea what you like. And then obviously this one again is available to the group members. And then our final indicator that we have on the screen here, and this one is free for everyone all the time. This is our TDMACD, and essentially what this is essentially shows the overall momentum of the trend. When it's green, everything is bullish. Once we see a couple of red histograms show up, we want to take profits, hedge ourselves, or exit the trend. And then again, once we flip back green again, we want to get in and then potentially hedge ourselves. And then again, we want to be in. So the idea of this is to basically just put us in macro long-term trends to take advantage of them. And once again, not only does this work phenomenally well, as this would have basically had you out at the absolute top, had you out a second time at the second absolute top, had you out here very, very close to the top at the previous bull market high, and then again had you out once again back in 2013 at the high. And then we can switch this over to shorter time frames as well, such as the weekly. And again, we can see very similar things taking place. Here is our initial 2017, 2018 peak. We left the bullish control zone. We have a hard sell signal, and it gets us out around 15,000 before we go all the way back to 3,000. And then it gets us back in once we flip bullish again, right around that 4,000 level, and then keeps us in our position all the way from 4,000 to over $60,000. And then again has us out for this initial 50% move, has us back in for a new all-time high, and then once again has us out at roughly $70,000 before we move down to 20,000. And again, not only is the TJD TDMACD is completely free for everyone, and that is just my giving to the community in general. There are also about a dozen other indicators that I have posted up on TradingView, absolutely free, with various different things. There are videos explaining how to use each of these indicators, and with the exception of the most recent copy of the Jewel Thief that I've displayed here, and also the TJD Master, all the indicators are absolutely free. You can find all the details and what to search on TradingView down in the description of this video. And once again, if you are interested in learning more, if you're interested in investing in yourself or supporting my work, acquiring these indicators, please reach out to me and I can give you further instructions on how to join our private trade group. So that being said, going to go ahead and wrap it up there. Once again, as always, if you found any use or learned anything from these series of videos, make sure to like and subscribe, share with your friends. If you're interested in does this really work or are we just using hindsight, I have literally hundreds and hundreds of videos that I have posted with daily and long-term technical analysis over the last few years. And you can find consistently we have not only captured the majority of long-term moves, we've actually been able to call tops, bottoms, and scalp extremely profitably. And it is all here on YouTube for you to see, absolutely free. And again, if you want to reach out, if you want to subscribe, very much appreciate it. But that is it for today's video. As always, remember, this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile. Please do your own research and trade responsibly. Remember that the most important thing is investing in yourself because you actually control the outcome more with your own investment or more with your own education than anything else on this earth. So if you're not worth investing in, then what is worth investing in? Because you control the outcome. So that being said, we're going to wrap it up there. Remember, none of this is financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile. Please do your own research and trade responsibly. Crypto Trend Trader, and I'm out of here.